Hello, my name is Aubrey. I'm 17 and I'm finishing up my junior year in high school. And the attribute of God that I chose was God is omniscient, or He is all knowing. And I chose it because I think right now there's a lot of unknown and there's a lot of change in our world, and it can get really scary if we forget that God knows what's happening and that He knows what's going to happen with it, and it's all according to His plan. So we're reading in Psalms, and it's chapter 139, verses 1 through 6. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from thin air. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. So a couple things that stood out to me while I was reading is where it says, you, Lord, know it completely. And something that I have to do a lot is when I'm in a situation or when I'm nervous or when I don't really know what's happening, I kind of have to remind myself and repeat truth to myself. And it is kind of like a coping mechanism, is to repeat the truth to myself. And so the words, you, Lord, know it completely, that is such a good truth that we can take and remind ourselves when we're scared, God, you know it completely, you know what's happening. And I think right now we're in this crazy time in our lives, and there's stuff that a lot of us have never experienced before, and it's a lot of unknown territory, and it can be really hard for us to it can be really easy for us to just freak out, but we have to just kind of remind ourselves, God knows it completely. He is all knowing. He knows what's happening. He knows why it's happening. He knows when it's going to end and what it's going to do for our world and for His glory ultimately. The next thing that stuck out to me was, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. So I looked up the word lofty, and it means of imposing heights. And so I kind of looked at it as God's knowledge is of an imposing height of our knowledge. It is way beyond our understanding. And that's another truth I think is so important, is that, we don't get what's happening all the time. And a lot of times we are questioning God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But God knows why He's doing what He's doing. And it's all according to His plan. And I think it's just such a good reminder for us to know, it's not my plan, it's not my power of understanding. Only God is capable of understanding. Only He knows what's happening. Only He has the answers to our questions, and He is who we need to turn to. The last thing that stuck out to me is, you hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. I really like that. I have the New International Version. Other translations say, you stand before and behind me. I think that's such a comforting phrase. Not only is God omniscient and all-knowing, same thing, but He's also omnipresent, or He's always present. He's before you, behind you, beside you. He surrounds you at all times, and that is something that's so comforting to hear when you don't know what's happening, and when you're scared, and when you're stressed out. Another thing is, I really have to check myself sometimes and be like, this is not your plan. This is not for you to decide, and we're not going off of your way. And that's one of those things where I really struggle, and sometimes it's a really hard pill to swallow, is it's not my plan, it's not according to me. But again, repeating truths to yourself, you, Lord, know it completely, and His knowledge is too wonderful, it's too lofty, it's of a higher understanding than what I can reach. It's really important for us to remember that. And then I want to send you with one more verse today. I think this one's pretty known. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So again, it's just it's a restatement of the fact that God knows exactly what's happening. This is all according to Him and His plan for you and for your friends and for your family. And He's not going to harm you. He has plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope, plans to give you a future. So I really challenge you to lean on that, repeat the truths to yourself, keep feeding them to yourself, because God is all-knowing and He knows exactly what He's doing.